I love Bungie's Marathon, and chances are if you're watching this video, you probably do too, but it's undeniable that this game has been highly controversial. Despite being the highest fidelity, highest quality extraction shooter on the market today, it's received a lot of hate from all directions, whether that's players of other extraction games, ex-Destiny players who do not like the taste of Marathon, or maybe the social media culture vultures who just want to label it as woke despite having no knowledge of what the game is actually about. And perhaps one of the biggest stirs of the pot in this situation has been Paul Tassi, one of the most reputed gaming journalists in the industry currently working at Forbes. And today I actually want to respond to Paul Tassi's last video on Marathon because while I sympathize with his position as a disheartened Destiny player, I think his videos perfectly illustrate what's wrong with the discussion around Bungie's Marathon, because I find the crux of his arguments not only unfair to the game Marathon, but ultimately to the developers of the game themselves and gaming as an artistic medium. Really, this video is about watching Paul Tassi, an ex-Destiny player, go through the 5 stages of grief, and most of his critiques of Marathon rely on the fallacy of comparison. He talks about his experiences with Halo into Destiny, how Destiny made his career as a journalist, and how he doesn't love Marathon, which is perfectly fine, but nowhere is he judging Marathon on the merits of what it's actually trying to be. Bungie entered this space with the idea of building a true AAA extraction shooter experience, and they definitely succeeded. Marathon stands on a level of fidelity and depth that its contemporaries simply cannot muster, and it has that undeniable Bungie mark of quality which makes playing these games so enjoyable on a mechanical level. Which is why I was awestruck when Paul Tassi went so far as to say that Marathon isn't a Bungie game, because this is the exact reductive logic you're supposed to avoid as a journalist, because it denies the game value based on its own merits. Remember when those right-tubers were talking about how Crimson Desert is better than Marathon, and then the gameplay of them playing Marathon came out and it looked like this?
My way, teammate! Holy fuck! Didn't I just click that? Oh, my bad. Oh, I keep... Oh, I thought they were... Did my teammates not damage this guy at all?
Impressive.
Well, this is pretty much the other side of the argument, except instead of Crimson Desert, it's an ex-Destiny player and he can actually play games that aren't 2D. But the point is that the failure of critique doesn't come from competency. Rather, it comes from a state of lingering emotional trauma, which prevents Paul Tassi from looking at Marathon with an honest lens. And this perspective robs the developers of their creative freedom and places them within the chains of expectation. Destiny has been the primary project of Bungie for 15 years, and at a certain point the studio and creative leads want to try something new. They want to flex their creative muscle, branch out from the standards that define them, and attempt to reach new ground. And there's no conceivable way to do that by just continuing to layer onto the same festering wound that is Destiny 2, where new players like me can't even access the first half of the game. But at the same time, the amount of manpower and resources it would take to make a Destiny 2 full remaster, or even a Destiny 3, cannot be understated. We're talking about a 5 to 7 year development cycle minimum, and YouTube, I know I'm probably gonna lose you right here, but please let me appeal to your humanity. Do you really think the human beings at Bungie Studios, the creative people who presumably got into gaming with the idea that one day they would build their own unique worlds and innovate the industry in their own fashion, do you think that when they looked down the barrel of 25 years straight of developing Destiny as a franchise, they were saying, yes please, that's exactly how I want to live my life, making the same exact game for 25 years, my entire career from age 20 to age 45? Because what's lost in the sauce of this entire argument is the creative endeavor that is making video games. When Bungie returns to Destiny, and that's a win, I promise you, not an if, let them return with true artistic vigor, a unified vision for the future of the Destiny franchise, instead of just clamoring for scraps at the bottom of the creative barrel. Because really, this behavior is something that I've seen in all long-running live service games, whether that's Fortnite or Destiny or Overwatch, endless titles. The good old days are gone and they are not coming back. And we have to learn to move forward and let the past go. Judge new things based on their merit and be happier with what we have. Because what we have is in many ways genuinely, truly better than what we used to have. Am I saying Marathon is flawless? No. It can be a very obtuse game, deliberately and to a fault. But as someone who completely disconnected from Bungie games when they released Destiny because, gasp, Destiny didn't appeal to me as a player, Marathon has pulled me back into the Bungie fold. And in so many ways, it encapsulates that old school gaming energy. The type of gaming that we lost in the era of skill-based matchmaking and AI lobbies. Marathon asks you to learn the game, get good at the game, understand the game, and sometimes be punished by the game. And as someone who was there for year one of Fortnite, that's what we used to ask from games, as long as the juice was worth the squeeze. And with Marathon, past that knowledge gap punishment lies one of the deepest FPS RPG games that I've ever played, and it's only $40 by the way, half the price of most AAA titles. Marathon is undeniably a strong artistic vision. The design style and adrenaline-pumping music are informed by the logic and lore of the world, and this synthesizes to greatly enhance the player experience. It's obvious that the devs at Bungie were gripped by a strong creative force, which led them to the striking portrait of a future where man surpasses humanity through endless death and iteration, where the boundless debauchery of malignant AI tests the boundaries of the human soul and what those words even mean, human soul. And through all that lore and philosophy laid deep in the bones of Marathon's codex, factions, and actual gameplay loop, Paul Tassi still says that he hasn't seen the lore from Marathon be relevant since the first weeks of this game. Could it just be that Paul Tassi has chosen not to engage with the systems of Marathon that would impress that lore and emotional experience upon him? Could it just be that Paul Tassi is also not following Marathon anymore, and that's why it's not popping up in his feed? Because there are quite a few channels that I see actively covering Marathon from all perspectives, whether that's memes, photography, lore, compilations, on and on. There is an actual ground level community on this game. While Paul Tassi gets a lot of respect for his consistency and well-spoken arguments, I truly feel he's coming from a place of bad faith with his Marathon critiques, holding the game to a subjective standard that it isn't trying to reach in the first place. And I ask that all critics of Marathon, all scorned Destiny players and casual dad gamers, and of course Paul Tassi, give Marathon time to grow into its shell before making sweeping arguments that Bungie should just go back to the Destiny mines. Because 2 months in the live service world is simply not enough. Marathon is a game of massive vision and strong artistic direction, but the devs are also incredibly attentive and rapidly changing the game systems to make the experience better for players at every single level of skill. Over the course of the first year, I know we'll see phenomenal improvements to this game, which already is a phenomenal framework, and Bungie is aware of the type of players that are feeling excluded with the current package, and they will iterate, as the entire point of Marathon's philosophy is endless iteration. I think of Rainbow Six Siege in this situation, a game that had so many problems at launch and was reviewed pretty badly, and funnily enough, had similar Steam numbers to Marathon, but it wasn't too long ago that Rainbow Six Siege celebrated its 10th anniversary and became one of the most played FPS PvP games, period, with a strong competitive and content community. I firmly believe Marathon can achieve similar levels of success if you just give them time to cook.
Don't shit on it day one when they try something new! Even if you don't like it, shut up! Shut the hell up! Let them work, let them cook! Let them cook or you're gonna get Call of Duty 96! I'm not living with Call of Duty 96!
This game is a grower. We can't all be massive showers like Destiny. Wow, really? Destiny 1 made $325 million in 5 days. Really? Destiny 1 was actually the biggest new franchise launch of all time? Comment your ideas for Marathon Season 2 and be sure to subscribe for more Marathon videos.